a working dinner, so while you're enjoying your meal, let me introduce our dinner speaker and discussion leader, Reginald Weaver. All right. All right.
It's really been good to be a part of this particular discussion. And I remember when I think I was vice president of NEA, I did a lot of school visits. And I went back home to Illinois, and I visited a school district called New Trier. Now, those of you that may not know New Trier, it's in a very, 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 very wealthy area. And they took me to the freshman and sophomore campus. You should have seen the freshman and sophomore campus. It's like many university campuses that you know of. And then they took me over to the junior senior campus. It was an older campus, but you could tell it reeked with money. Then they brought in a class for me to talk with. Now, kids are kids. I don't care who you are, where they are. If kids like you, they will do anything for you. If they don't like you, it's rough. If kids like you, they will tell you when the next fight's going to be. They will tell you who's going to cut your tires. They will tell you who doesn't like you. And if they don't like you, and so these little rich kids, they came in and sat down. Now I was the only thing of color up in there now, all right? So they came in and they sat down. And so with kids, you have to find an interest point. And being a teacher, a good teacher, you try to find what the interest points are. So these little cats, they came in, sat down, they had caps to the side. Now, when we was going to school, you better not try to wear a cap in class, all right? And so they sat down, crossed their legs, and looked. So I looked at this little cat, I said, okay, how you doing, man? He said, I'm all right. I said, do you play sports? He said, yes. I said, what do you play? He said, equestrian. I said, okay. I said, let me go to the next cat. I said, well, what do you play? Water polo. You see, these are sports that many of the kids that we're talking about today, they have never heard of. And then it was only a couple of days later, it was either Oprah or Jesse. They took a group of kids from Harper High School to a school in Naperville called Neoqua. I had heard about Neoqua. Now, I didn't want to believe what I had heard, so I said, I'm going to see for myself. You should have seen Neoqua. I drove up to one of the entrances. It was absolutely amazing. A school with all that, 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools. And then this is the school from inner city Chicago, Harper High School, that they went to see. And after the visit with these young people from Harper High School, on their way back, they told the adults, you really don't care about us, do you? And you know how adults, oh yes we do, oh yes we do. Why do you say that, honey? And she said, because if you cared about us, you would not make us go to school in the conditions that we have to go to school in. Those kids where we just came from go to school in the conditions that they have and have the expectation that we perform the same on the same test. Now, it's not that these kids cannot learn, it's not that they're not smart. But I'll guarantee you, there's kids at New Trier And Neola had everything that you talked about. They had all the marquee programs. They had all the Mesa programs. They had all of the better programs. All right? Whereby the kids at Harvard didn't have those. And look at that. The LEAP program, right? Project Leadway. Somebody's not communicating. Because as a teacher, an educator, a union leader, I never heard of these programs. Now, obviously, they've been out. I never heard of these programs to the extent that I had until I started talking to Claudia. Claudia's the one that taught me about STEM. I didn't know what STEM was. I didn't know it stood for science, technology, engineering, and math. Now, somebody should have told me as an educator that these are programs that are out there that can possibly be used by a number of young people who are challenged. But you know what? It's a shame, a dirty shame, that we have to develop partners in order to get funding for these programs. If in fact they were important enough for all kids, then instead of having to rely constantly on corporations, the state, local, and federal governments would make sure that funding is available. Now, back to Project LEAP. Again, I didn't know about this National Action Council on Engineers and Minorities in Engineering. I didn't know nothing about that. And Claudia said, Reg, do you know Dr. Slaughter? No, I don't know Dr. Slaughter. He said, okay, well, let's go meet him. And we went to meet, we drove up to New York to meet Dr. Slaughter. A wonderful, wonderful experience. And I got to tell you this, you know, Claudia, she wants to take these pictures. So Claudia, she gets one of these cameras she don't know how to operate. And so I said, Claudia, get you a Kodak. And Dr. Slaughter said, well, I think she need a brownie, all right? Now, it was that time, I just remembered there were cameras before Kodaks. They were brownies. And we just laughed. But in terms of the conversation that we had, we talked about Project LEAP and the program in terms of where it was and how they got to be there. Folks, many of you who are involved in these programs, you know that you just can't transplant this program just because you say you want it. It takes some planning. It takes planning, and the planning should include everybody at the table. And Dr. Slaughter told me, and I just confirmed it with our friend here, it would not have been possible, or Project LEAP, and lead the way, Project LEAP the way, leap. Project Lead the Way is leaping over everybody, all right? But Project LEAP would not lead the way. All right. Project Lead the Way. Project Lead would not. Project Lead the Way would not have been able to be in these 31 districts that they're in now, if in fact there had not been everybody at the table in the development of the program. That means you can't develop a program and not include the teachers. You can't do that. Or you can if you want to. But I'll guarantee you one thing. In fact, Project Lead the Way was smart. They recognized that if in fact you didn't have everybody at the table, it was going to be very difficult to implement successfully the program as you would like. Because if people do not have input into whatever it is, they are not going to be happy, and they are going to do almost everything they can to make your program not successful. Also, if in fact you have an expectation, if you mistreat people, I don't care who it is, if you do not show people the value of their worth, then you will not be successful in asking them or getting them to be able to do something voluntarily on their own after school without pay. I'm telling you. I think the brother here mentioned transform. Folks, we need to transform this whole thing.